Hey guys, it's Drew here from Evexia Wellbeing. Welcome to our 5-day nutrition series. Over the course of the next 5 days, I'm going to take you through all our secrets when it comes to nutrition and exercise for fat loss. Now, very quickly, a little bit about me. I'm Drew. I'm the proud owner of Evexia Wellbeing. I'm also a qualified nutritionist and personal trainer and have coached people for over a decade, just like you, towards losing fat and maintaining it for the rest of their life. But it's not about me, it's about you. So let's dive straight into topic number 1, which is the big burning question that everybody asks. How do I lose fat? Now, I want to get a few fundamental principles out of the way first and explain a few things first before we move on to more detailed and more in-depth information. So, first things first is every human being is governed by an energy balance equation. Fat loss and fat gain is governed by energy balance. Energy in the food we eat is measured in calories. That's the unit of measurement. So I'll refer to energy and I'll refer to calories. They're the same thing, okay? So today I want to take you through how fat loss or fat gain works in a human being fundamentally. If we can understand how it works, we're in a much better position in order to achieve fat loss and also to maintain and sustain that fat loss. Now, the first things first is human beings can't create fat out of nothing. We can't manufacture fat out of nothing. So fat is the result of chronically consuming too much energy or too many calories for what your body requires. We cannot simply manufacture fat out of thin air. It has to be created from something, and that is an excess of energy or an excess of calories that we're consuming chronically, long term. Okay? So if we look at a couple of really fundamental principles of today's video, which is how do I lose fat? How does this whole process work? Let me explain it as simply as I possibly can. We all have an amount of calories or an amount of energy that we need to consume per day to maintain the position we're in right now, okay? It's called metabolic rate. So metabolic rate is essentially the amount of energy, calories, that an individual needs to eat per day to maintain where they are, to maintain life. Okay, but I'm assuming most of us don't want to maintain. We're looking to either lose weight, lose fat, or maybe even gain a little bit of weight if you're struggling with that particular goal. Both are opposite ends of the spectrum, but they both fall under the same underlying principle. We have base, how many calories we need per day, metabolic rate. Now let's just use the example of 1,500 calories. Okay, so let's just say, and I should say before we go any further, everybody's number is different, okay? I'll explain in a second how you can find that number, and everybody's number is very different. So your number isn't 15, it's just an example number. Let's just say you need 1,500 calories per day to maintain where you are now, but you don't want to maintain anymore, you want to gain weight. You want to gain mass, okay? Now, if you're consuming 1,500, you maintain where you are now, but you don't do that, we want to gain. We need to eat more than 1,500 calories chronically, day after day, week after week, month after month, in order to gain weight, okay? Conversely, if you are looking to lose weight, lose fat, it's the opposite end of the spectrum. You've got to chronically consume less than that number day after day, week after week, month after month. And that is how fat loss works in a human being. You cannot consume more than this number, than your number. You cannot consume more and lose fat. It doesn't work. Fat loss only works when we're in energy deficit. Because remember, if we're eating 1,800 calories per day, we've got a 300 calorie gap, surplus there. That 300 calories can't just simply disappear. It can't just go, it's in us. It can't just go. So that energy has to go somewhere. If you're doing that chronically, that is how fat gain progressively occurs. Okay, now how do we find what this number is? Great question. There's calculations you can do online, which I've attached a link to in the video. You can do those online. Now look, they're plus or minus 10%. They're close enough. If you want a more accurate measurement, if you want to really get into the nitty gritty, you can get a body composition scan, a DEXA scan. You have to pay for them and their time and all that sort of stuff, but the calculations are good enough to get you started with understanding whereabouts you need to eat per day, okay? So remember, if we want to gain weight, we consume more than our number. If we want to lose weight, we need to consume less than our number. Now, one little nuance that we need to consider is the role of exercise in this equation, okay? So exercise expends energy, it burns calories, and this is a really advantageous thing for this whole equation. And let me explain why in a second. So if we're consuming 1,500 calories, that's what we need to maintain our body weight, but we don't want to maintain, we want to lose, right? But you are doing an exercise session worth 300 calories, you're burning 300 calories, all of a sudden, your net is down to 1,200 calories. So you've eaten 15, but you've exercised 300, so now you're left for the day with 1,200. And of course, 1,200 is less than 1,500, you're in energy deficit, okay? Another perspective is you're consuming 1,800, but you need 1,500, but you do an exercise session worth 500, all of a sudden, you've got the 300 calories of surplus, plus 200 calories in deficit, so your net is below what it needs to be, okay? So all of a sudden, that number is 1,300, okay? So you've got a 300 calorie bonus there, a surplus there. You've exercised for 500, so you've got 200 calories to play with, and that goes off that figure and turns it into 1,300, okay? Guys, I really hope that this gives you some perspective on how this whole process works. And I really hope that we kind of get a grasp of this, because once we get a grasp of this, you're unstoppable. You can do anything because you understand this fundamental principle. Now, how you get to this figure, we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail in future videos. We're going to talk about protein, we're going to talk about different diets, we're going to talk about the most effective way for you in order to get into deficit really easily and really effectively, okay? Now, guys, you would have seen a little link down the bottom for a strategy session. It's a free 30-minute call with one of the team. We're going to go through everything you need to know one-on-one, just with us and you. We're going to nut through all the nitty-gritty of your particular scenario. Where can we help? What can we do in order to progress you, to knock you along? We're going to go through your roadblocks. We're going to go everything you need to know in a 30-minute free strategy session right there. Enter your details and we will be right on the line with you. Guys, thank you so much for downloading this awesome 5-day nutrition seminar series. We're going through all our secrets, right? So if you have any questions, do let us know. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow for tomorrow's awesome video. Have a great day. See you then.